Good evening, Vaishnavi. Good evening, Paras. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Emmanuel. Good evening, Shravani. So, should we start with our today's session? Is the screen visible to everyone? Good evening, Anand. Okay, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about list. List is a data type in Python, and yesterday we talked about list, that list are mutable. And we understood that what is the meaning of mutable means we can change the original list, means we can modify it. So if we create a variable and if we create a list, so we create a list by using square brackets. So let's write something, atgc, add comma, add one more value, add comma, let's write something more, and here we have created a list. So lists are mutable means we can change or modify the original list. So that means if I try to change the first value, so this first value is on index number 0. So let's write the name of our variable, DNA, add square brackets and add 0 index and add the equal to sign, and we want to assign, for example, ATG. So here what is the meaning of this line, that at the index number 0, here is the index number 0, we want to change this value to this value. So let's print our list here. Let's click on run. So here we can see that we can modify our list, means list is mutable. And then we learned about strings, that strings, they are immutable, and by the meaning of immutable it means we cannot modify the original string. So for example, if we create a variable dna2 and we create a string, so let's write atgcgt. Now here, this is the index number 0. This A character is at index number 0. So if we write this same program, but for string here this time, so let's write the variable DNA2, add square bracket, so index number 0. So A character is on index number 0. So for example, let's write here T. Now let's print our variable DNA2. Okay, so let's comment this one out. Now let's run this program. So here what we can see an error that string object does not support item assignment, means we cannot change these items because strings are immutable. So this is what we learned, the main difference between list and strings, that they are mutable and strings, they are immutable. So when we say that strings are immutable, we don't mean that they are useless. We simply mean that once a string is created, Python, it does not allow us to change the same string directly. Okay, so instead of changing the original string, Python creates a new one. So let's see example as well. So here again, let's create a variable DNA, and here I'm going to create ATGC. So now you can notice I have written this in lower case, right? These are lower cases ATGC, and here these are upper cases ATGC. Now here what I'm going to do, I'm going to call a method. So yesterday we learned about methods, right? So if I write the name of my variable DNA, so this variable here, it stores a string. That means if I add the dot operator, we will see all the methods of the string. So here the method that I'm going to use today is upper and add parenthesis. So we understand that we always add parenthesis because it is a method, because we give our input here. But as we can see here, this string, it contains lower cases A, T, G, C. So by calling this method upper, I want to make them uppercase. Okay. And here, if I directly try to print it, let's print DNA. So let me know what will be the output. If I click on run button, what will be the output? Let me know in the chat box. We talked about this yesterday. Okay, Paras, Sayali, Ajay, Anand, Shrija. What if I say all of your answers are wrong? Very good, Pallavi. We will see an error. Now, Pallavi, tell me why we will see an error. Okay, let's run this program. Let's see what we will see. Okay, so here we are not seeing any error, but we are also not seeing that this method is working. So here, this line number 15, print DNA. And what is the value of DNA? It is ATGC in lowercase. So Python is printing us directly ATGC. And here I called this method upper to make all of these uppercases. So in my mind, I should have been seeing ATGC in upper cases. But here I'm seeing the exact value this variable is storing. So now let me know, why am I not seeing ATGC in upper cases even though I have called this method here as well? Very good, Karthik. We have to write it in this way. Pallavi, you are half correct. Strings are immutable. That means we cannot change it directly. Okay. So here we understood that strings here, Python, strings are immutable and Python does not let us modify the original string. So here, what if I store this in a variable? So let's create a variable DNA2. Okay, now here Python is creating a new string and it is storing in this variable DNA. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to print both of these variables. So let's write print DNA2 as well. Okay, so here this is my variable DNA which is storing this ATGC in lower cases. Here I have called the method on my same variable, but this time here Python is storing a new string and is storing in this variable. Okay, Python is creating a new string and storing in this variable, and here I have written print DNA2. Now let's run this program. Now, do we understand the difference? Can we notice here that our variable DNA, it still exists, means its original value, it still exists. And here, when we wrote print DNA2, this is a new string. So, do we understand how strings are immutable and how Python does not let us modify the original string? Yes, Alina. So, Alina, do you understand now? Okay, so let me just give you one example. So imagine that you have a patient's DNA. Okay, just imagine this is the patient's DNA. So five scientists are working on this same DNA sequence. Okay, this is a patient's DNA sequence and it is being analyzed by five different scientists at the same time. Now, what if accidentally one scientist, he changes the original DNA sequence? Now everyone else's analysis will become incorrect. right? So Python here, it is protecting the original data, that if someone wants a modified version, so Python here, it created a new copy. So can we say in DNA2 we have a new copy? So this means that this makes our program more safer and more reliable. Okay, but on the another hand, we have lists which are mutable. So lists, they are mutable because they are designed to store collections of data that frequently update. They frequently changes. For example, here, let's comment this program out and let's continue here. So for example, if I create a variable patient, okay, so this is my variable patients and let's create a list. So I want to store the information of my patients. For example, you are working in a lab, you have 5 patients information. Okay, so let's write patient number, let's write name, that you have Ria, another patient name is Raj, and another patient name is Arjun. Okay, so for now you have 3 patients. Now you have created a list, you have stored the patient's name. Now the lab, it sequenced more patients' DNA. That means you have more names of the patient. Now this time, if list, they are not mutable, that means we cannot add more values in it. We cannot modify this list. So are we understanding that these lists, they are keep on modifying? For example, you will tomorrow you will get 5 more patient name. Day after tomorrow you will get 10 more patient name. So you need to keep on updating this list. So that is why list, they are mutable. So yesterday we learned one method of the list, append. Do we remember append from yesterday's session? So first of all, let's write this variable patients and add dot. So here we have append method, add parenthesis. Now, for example, you have these 3 patients name. Now you get one more patient name. So let's just append the patient name. Let's write Tina. Okay, so can we do that? And let's print our list. Okay, now let's run this program. So can we see that we just appended Tina in our list, means we modified our original list. So are we understanding the difference between list and strings, why list is mutable and why strings are immutable? Okay, very good everyone. So again, strings, they are immutable because they represent text and they represent sequences that should be protected from accidental modifications. And list here, they are mutable because it is a collection of data which often needs to be updated. Okay, so let's continue with our today's session. Today we are going to talk about nested list. Okay, so far here you can see in this list we can store a name. In this list here we are storing a DNA sequence. That means we are storing only one information at a time. Can we say this? Here we only have this DNA sequence. Here we only have a name. So what if I want to store all of these information together in a list? So for example, this is Ria and this is her DNA sequence. This is Raj, this is her DNA sequence, and this is Arjun and this is his DNA sequence. So we want to store all this information together. So that is where we can create nested list. So to create a nested list, so for example, let's copy this data here and let's paste it here. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, you can see that if we want to create a list, we use square brackets, correct? But this time we want to create a nested list. Okay, Shobit, I will repeat it again. Here yesterday and today, in these examples, what we can see, what we can observe is here we created a list, and in this list we are only storing name, and in this list we are only storing the DNA sequence. So I want to store these information together, that this is Ria and this is a DNA sequence. Her age is 64, she lives in this town, and this is her gene that we are studying. So we want to store all of these information together, but in a list. So that is where we can create nested list. So first of all, you have to make your variable, you have to add square brackets. So square brackets means you are making a list. Now here, either you can just write it in the same line, or if you want to make it look presentable, so just press enter. Now you can write it here. Okay, now to create a nested list, again I'm going to add square brackets. So this means a list inside a list. So here, first of all, let's write Ria. Okay, so this is Ria, and this is a DNA sequence ATGC, and this is her age 64. And for example, this is the gene TP53 that we are studying about her. So do we understand that this is a list, but this list is inside this list? So this is called a nested list. In the same way, you can create more lists inside a list. So you just simply have to add comma, press enter, add square brackets. Now let's just write, for example, Tina, her DNA sequence is AATTGG, and her age is 78. In the same way, add comma, press enter, add square brackets, you are creating another list. So let's write the name Arjun. This is his DNA sequence ATGGC. Okay, and his age is 34. Now what is this? These are lists inside a list. Now what if we want to access this list? So here indexing is the same. We learned about indexing. So to access this list, what you will do, first of all, you will write your variable name. Okay. First of all, you tell me how you will write the index number. I want to know that how you will write the program. Let me know in the chat box what program you will write to access this list. Let me know in the chat box. Very good, Akshita. We will write it like this. So indexing is the same, right? There is no difference in the indexing. So let's write the function print. Let's write the name of the variable patients and add square brackets. So here if I write 0, here I have given the index number 0. That means this list is on index number 0. This list is on index number 1, and this list is on index number 2. So let's click run. So here we just accessed our first list. In the same way, let's write 1. Let's click run. So here this is our second list. Now in the same manner, for example, in this list, I want to access the name Ria. So first of all, we will give the index number 0, means this list. Again, we will add square brackets and we will give the index number 0. So do we understand that Ria is on index number 0? Do we understand this, that Ria is on index number 0? Okay, so in the output, what we will see? We will see Ria. So let's click run. So here we are seeing Ria. Now, for example, I want to access R. In the name Ria, I want to access R. So here again, you will add square brackets. You will give the index number 0. Okay. So here, this 0 means this list. This index number 0 means Ria, and this index number 0 means R. So let's click run. So here in the terminal, we can see R. So are we clear how we can access inside a nested list? The process is the same. It is all indexing and it always starts from 0. That is called zero-based indexing. So this was all about list that we were left with yesterday, the nested list. So today we need to learn more data types. So here till now we have learned about strings, we have learned about list. So our next data type is tuple. So here tuple is another data type in Python. Now what is this tuple? So yesterday when we started list, I showed you one example that if I create a variable DNA and here if I create a string ATGC add comma TT add comma GCT and here, okay, so what is this? This is a complete one string, correct? That is where we learned about list, that here Python does not taking these four as different DNA sequences. Python is taking these as a single string. So that is where we learned about list, that we have to add square brackets and here we can write, let's make this DNA1. ATGC add comma, TT add comma, GCT comma and TT. Okay, so now what is this? This is a list. Now what if I tell you, if I remove these square brackets here, let's make this DNA2. So here I have removed these square brackets. Now here it is still different strings, right? So in this string here, Python was not considering these as different DNA sequences because it was a single string. So that is where we learned about list, that if we need to store multiple values together, that is how we create a list. Now from this list, I removed these square brackets. Now what is this? This is called a tuple. Okay, what is this? This is called a tuple. We can also print the type of this variable. So let's print the type. Let's print both DNA1, which is a list, and let's print the type of DNA2. Okay, now let's click run. So here we can see Python executed this line of code and here we can see it is a list. So this DNA1 is storing a list and this DNA2 is storing a tuple. So what is this? This is a tuple. Now there is not much a greater difference in a list and in a tuple. So as you can see, it is more like a list, right? We can still store multiple values here inside a tuple. So the only difference between a list and a tuple is that list is mutable and tuple is immutable, just like strings. So do we understand the difference? So here tuple are immutable and list, they are mutable. That is just the only difference between a list and a tuple. Also, you can also create a tuple like this. Just add round brackets. So as we can see that if you are seeing square brackets, that represents list, right? So in the same way, if you are adding round brackets, it represents tuple. Okay, so that is the only difference between a list and a tuple. So if you try to modify this tuple, so let's write DNA to the variable, give the index number 0 and let's change this value to AA and let's print DNA2. So what we will see in the output? Let me know in the chat box what we will see in the output. Very good, Pallavi. We will see an error. And why we will see an error? Because tuples are immutable. So let's click run. So here, what is the error? It is in type error and it is saying tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, so for example, here we learned about strings that we want to protect our original data. That is where we are creating these strings. But we want to create the data, we want to add all those multiple values together. That is where we learned about list. Now, in the same manner, we want to create a list, but we want that data to be immutable. We don't want that data to change, to modify. So that is where you will create a tuple. Okay, is it clear? Do we have any questions? So just like strings, tuples, they cannot be modified after they are created. Now, in the same way that we learned the methods of the string, we learned the methods of the list, in the same way, tuple has its own methods. Okay, so here, first of all, let's write the variable DNA2 and add the dot operator. So these are the two methods, count and index of the tuple. Okay, so tuple, it only has two methods, count and index. So first of all, let's see count. So yesterday we also saw the count method in strings as well, correct? That means we can also use count in the tuple because both are immutable. So it's obvious that they can share some common methods, right? So here count method, what if I want to count how many T and T I have in a tuple? So here this is 1 and this is 2. So let's write T and T and let's print DNA2. Now, before clicking on the run button, tell me what is wrong here in this program. Let me know in the chat box. Let me know what do you think, what is wrong here in this program. Very good, Shobit. We are updating this variable DNA2. Very good, Shobit. Very good. So that means either we can store it inside a variable. Let's write the variable result and here print variable result. So either we can write it like this or we can directly print it. Print the variable DNA2 at the dot operator. This is the method count and give the input TT. Okay, so either you can write it like this or either you can write it like this. Okay, so let's run both the programs. Here, let's click on run. So what is the result? Here 2. So we have 2 times this DNA sequence. So this is a string and this is another string. So let's run this program as well. So both the programs are the same. Let's click run. So here we are seeing 2. Okay, so this was the count method. In the same way, another method that we have is index. So here let's write the variable DNA2 at the dot operator. So here we have index. Now what does this index method does? So this method here, it returns us the index number. So for example, I want to find out the index number of this, that where this string, what is the position of this string inside this tuple. Okay, so here we will write TT. So when we will click on run, we will see the index number. So let's click on run. So here the index number is 1. So 0 and 1. So this TT is on index number 1. Now just like we learned about the find method in the strings yesterday, can we say that it is working exactly the same? How the index method gave us this index number of this and the find method that we used yesterday. So both of these are exactly the same. So here this index method, if we have noticed again, so this here Python returned me the index of this and we also have this same string here as well on this index number. So that means what if I don't want the index number of this, I want the index number of this. So we also talked about this yesterday during the find method. So who will tell me the answer? Who will tell me the answer that I want the index number of this, but Python is giving me this because Python first find out this DNA string. So that's why it returns me the index number of this. But I want to see the index number of this. So who will tell me the answer? Anyone? Very good, Shobit. Here, this is the value and we can add comma and we can give the starting index number that we want Python to start from here. Okay, we cannot give this index number because Python will just return this index number. TT is present on here. So 0, 1, 2. So here we will give the index number 2. That this is the value that we want to find and we want Python to start from here. So let's click run. So now are we seeing 3? So let's just count 0, 1, 2, 3. So now this DNA string here, it is on index number 3. Okay, so tuple, it only has two methods, count and index. So here, let me show you something else. Now add the dot operator. So as we can see, count and index, these are the only two methods of the tuple. These things here that you are seeing here, these are the internal methods of the Python. Okay, so Python uses all of these as internal methods behind the scene. So we don't need to learn about these, we only need to learn about these because we will be using these and these are used by Python. So are we clear? These are the internal methods and we use these methods and tuple only has count and index. Okay, so this was all about tuple as we already understood list. So tuple is basically the same. The only difference is it is immutable. Now, another data type is set. Okay, so set here we have another data type. Let's comment this one out. Now, what is a set? For example, let's create a variable gene and here let's create a list. Let's write some gene names, for example, TP53, here BRCA1. Let's write EGFR and let's write one more. Let's write BRCA1. Now, can you see that here in this list, I have BRCA1 two times. So can I say that we have duplicate values, we have duplicate gene names, we have the same value two times. So if I print this variable gene, Python will print me exactly the entire list. Now what if we don't want to see the duplicate values? So that is where we create set. So to create a set, you will just simply use curly brackets. Okay, now this is a set. So first of all, let's print its data type. Let's write type and our variable name gene. So let's click run. So here can we see it is a class set. Now here let's print it. Let's print our variable. In the output, what you will see, you will only see the original values. So let's click run. So here can we see the original values BRCA1, TP53 and EGFR. So BRCA1 here it is two times, but here we are only seeing the original values. So whenever you want to work with original values means you want to remove all the duplicate values from your data set. So that is where you will create a set. So are we clear what is a set? Okay, now one more thing that you can notice here, you can see that firstly I have TP53, correct? And here I have TP53. Just give me 1 second. Yes, so here can you notice that firstly we have TP53, but here we are seeing TP53 in the second position. Here we have BRCA1 in the index number 1, but we are seeing BRCA1 at index number 0. So can you observe these things? Okay, Akshat, I will explain the set again. So here, see, Akshat, see. Firstly, we created a list. Okay. So we understand to create a list, we have to use square brackets, right? So if we print this, let's click run. So we can see TP53, BRCA1, EGFR, and again BRCA1. So here we have two duplicate values. So if we want to remove the duplicate values from our data, that is where we create a set. So to create a set, you will use curly brackets. Okay. Now here, this is a set. So let's click run again. So here, now again you can see, now this time we have EGFR in the starting, we have BRCA1 and we have TP53 at the end, and we are not seeing this duplicate value. So this is set for you. And here, as we can notice, these positions here, they have been changed. So set here, it does not follow an order. Okay, set here, it does not follow an order, means there is no indexing inside a set. So let me write it. Set, it doesn't follow an order, means there is no indexing. So as we can see here, we have EGFR 0, 1, 2 at position number 2. But here we are seeing EGFR at position number 0. So set, it does not follow any order. Let's see. For example, here I want to print index number 0. So we know at index number 0 we have TP53, but when we will click on run, we will see an error. Now, what is the error? Set object is not subscriptable, means there is no indexing inside a set. Now, why there is no indexing? So, as you can understand, for example, let me write BRCA1 again here. Now here, this time we have three duplicate values, here at this position, here at this position, and here at this position. And we already understand that a set, it removes all the duplicate values. So when we will click on run, then we will see TP53, we will see BRCA1, and we will see EGFR. So here, when we'll click on run, all the positions will get changed because these duplicate values will get removed. So for example, Python remove this and this, or Python can remove this and this. So all the positions will get changed, right? All the duplicate values, when they will get removed, the position, they will get changed. So there is no point of giving these indexing inside a set. So are we understanding why there is no indexing inside a set? First of all, let's click on run. So here we can see TP53, we can see BRCA1. Now, if there was any indexing, Python should have printed BRCA1 first. But here we are seeing this in the middle. So here, as all the duplicate values are being removed, these positions, they get changed. So that is why there is no indexing inside a set. So it's only for if you want to work with the original values, you don't want to keep the duplicate values. So that is where you use set. Okay. Now, in the same way, we have different methods of set as well. So for example, first of all, let's write the variable gene, add dot, and here the first method that we have is add. Now, for example, I want to add one more gene. Let's write MYC, that this is the gene I want to add. Okay, and let's write print and our variable name gene. So, first of all, tell me, is this program correct? Should I write it this way or should I just save this in a variable? Let me know. Is this program correct or should I save it in a variable? Very good part. This program is correct because set here, they are mutable. Very good, Shobit. So set here, they are mutable. So let's click run. So here we can see that Python added MYC here in the middle. So it is just random. Okay. In sets, everything is random. These position can change. For example, let's click run. So here, this time you can see it added MYC here. So do we see the difference? So firstly, it is here. And then Python has added this gene here. So in set, everything is random because there is no indexing. Now, one more method, let's write gene dot. So another method that we can use is remove. So here, let's remove BRCA1. Let's write print and gene. Let's click run. So here we can see BRCA1 is removed. So we have three values BRCA1, so it is removed. Okay, so this is the method that you can use. Let's see more methods of sets. Let's write gene dot. Here this pop method is also very exciting. For example, here I write this method pop and print gene. So this pop method, what it does, it will just randomly pop any value in your terminal. Okay, so let's run it. So here we can see it popped two values, BRCA1 and EGFR. Let's run it one more time. So here this time it popped TP53 and BRCA1. So this pop method here, it randomly pops any values from the set. Okay, and one more method that we use is this clear method. So this clear method, it just clear your entire set. Here, let's click run. So here you can see only set. Your set is empty. So this method clear, it clears out your entire set. So today here we learned about list, we learned about set, we learned about strings and how they are mutable and how they are immutable. So do we have any questions till now? Paras, here this pop method, what it does, it just randomly pop any value from your set. Okay, let's click run. So here you can see it popped these two values EGFR and BRCA1. Let's click run again. So here it popped BRCA1 first and then EGFR. Let's click run again. So here EGFR, BRCA1. So it randomly pops any value from your set. Okay, this is the only work of this method, pop to pop any value from the set. Do we have any questions? Everything is clear? Paras, that is depend on pop. It is the pop method, whatever it wants. We don't have any take in it. Okay, it depends on pop what it wants to pop. Okay. Is it clear, Paris? Yes. Also, I wanted to continue today's session as we still have 20 minutes left. I wanted to continue with type conversion, but I'm experiencing some cough today right now, so we will continue with it tomorrow. Okay, so that was it for today's session. So if you have any questions right now, you can ask. Hritika, it doesn't have many much greater use, but it is a very interesting method that you can use. For example, you have hundreds of different genes. Okay, you have this set and you have hundreds of different genes, and you just wish to see some 2 3 genes. So you just randomly use this pop method to see any random genes that you want to select. Okay, so it's a very interesting, you can say, but it's a nice method that you can use. So it doesn't have much actually use in data analysis. Okay, so these are just methods. So what you can do here, you can just add the dot operator, and these are all the methods. So I provided you the nodes of all the methods of string and list. Okay, so that nodes, it contains all the methods will all the example like this, and it also contains explanation that what this method does. So did you see that nodes? Okay, so I need you to practice that because it contains all the methods. So in one session, we cannot cover all these methods, right? That's why I provided you that. In the same way, here, if you add dot here, these are all the methods of this set. So here, these are internal methods that you can see with underscores. So all these till update, these are all the methods of the set. So I will provide you this notes as well, that what this method does. So I need you to practice that. Okay. Okay, everyone. Then thank you for joining and have a good evening.